Hi everyone, welcome back to Candid Football Conversations with Sports Kabri. I've got with me Arnava Chaudhary, Nilanjan Datta, and Shayan Sarkar. Guys, the Duran Cup is off and running. We're a few days into the tournament. We're fast approaching the Mohan Bagan and East Bengal clash, the famous Calcutta Derby. And there's a lot more to talk about with regards to the AFC under 23 qualifiers, the camp for that, and how ISL clubs are approaching this situation. But first, let's talk about the Duran Cup. Shan, East Bengal did not win their first game in quite dramatic fashion, if I may. And they're up next for them is Mohun Bagan. How are you feeling about the entire situation?
See, the first game, I think I would like to say that the first game we had a very, we were sure that we should win that game. Everybody was sure. Before that day, we did a show and we were sure that that we will be giving a drubbing to Bangladesh Army. But I want them because any team who is coming here to play, I think we deserves the respect and that showed. We were leading till 87th minute of the game, and we how I don't think how we were not able to close that game by winning it. I don't know how it was possible, but all credit to the Bangladesh Army team. Coming back to the Mohun Bagan game, I think I think this would be, if I remember, this would be one of those matches where East Bengal will start uh, after the ISL era started. East Bengal was always an underdog in the derby. It's no point saying the other thing, but I think this time I think this will be very, very tough job for East Bengal because, as we all know, East Bengal doesn't have the depth in the squad. The main problem in this team is the depth in the squad. If a player get injured, who would be the replacement? Because if Nishu is not playing that game, I don't know who will be playing in that position. So you have players who are not fit. Clayton Silva likely to come to India by today, tomorrow night or Friday morning. But I don't think he will be given a nod for that match. I don't understand. I don't know what is his current condition, but I think it will be very, very tough that he will play. You don't have that foreigner. You will have four foreigners whom I think Jordan will play: Bora, Sol Crespo, and Severio Toro, who has become a fan favorite after a single game. So let's see. I hope that East Bengal plays well, but my mind is saying something different. I think we are up for an uphill task against Mohun Bagan because Mohun Bagan the Mohun Bagan team has the depth, the quality which is required for big matches like this. And one interesting thing, what I want to say is that how Juan Fernando approaches this game. I'm also very interested to see that because they have a AFC Cup game on 16th. How serious are they for this match? I'm really interested to see. I hope they are not much serious, but I don't know what is in card in for us. I think they have what I've heard that they have registered Anirudh Thapa and Jason Cummings for the game.
Okay.
So so, so let's see. I'm hopeful.
Another, yeah, Mohun Bagan on the other end, they won both their games so far. So they're
Mm.
placed pretty well. If they want to take it lightly, like Shan said, he's hoping for them to take it lightly. They have the liberty to do that. But do you think they'll go easy on their arch rivals?
It's a difficult one. It's a catch 22. I feel. I think the challenge in all of this will be is how important, how much of an importance does Juan Fernando give the game? The fans, for them, it's the most important game or the most important games of the season are between Mohun Bagan and East Bengal. While Juan Fernando has bigger plans to look at. One, of course, is the AFC Cup. The other thing is the ISL. The Duran Cup still is a preparatory tournament. So, how do you take that? But on the other side, if any chance East Bengal win against Mohun Bagan, suddenly the pressure shifts from Quadrat to Ferrando because Quadrat is under pressure. He will try to have to field the best possible 11 that is available on that day. So therefore, that's the challenge that I feel is there, and therefore Mohun Bagan has to see what they're going to do. And but as Shayan has said, they are the overwhelming favorite going into this game, and they have been now since both the teams, both the clubs have entered the Indian Super League.
Nilanjan, as somebody who's been in Indian football for so long, do you think the Mohan Bagan fans will spare uh, the manager for taking it lightly in this game if he goes with a slightly weakened squad because they've already won their first two games?
Well, you know what? The significance of the Kolkata Derby sometimes is kind of dismissed by the foreign coaches, which I find a bit very difficult to digest. Obviously, coaches will play it down, saying that it's just another match. Maybe an England versus Netherlands, England versus Germany, India versus Pakistan, Australia versus England in the Ashes. Historical rivalries, coaches will always play it down. But that doesn't mean that you kind of demean it to such a situation you do not take it seriously. Because the effects of a derby will be huge. From the East Bengal point, I can guarantee whatever favorable position or sympathy Mr. Quadrat has at the present moment, God forbid, one team will win, one team will lose. If East Bengal loses badly, as Shayan is, I'm not hinting that they will be losing badly. Please let me not get mistaken. All sympathies will go out for a toss. Likewise, with this star-studded squad, whom you have registered, whom you have not registered, if Mr. Ferrando loses that derby to East Bengal, who are on paper depleted in comparison to East Bengal, all sympathies will go out for a toss, and you never know. The entire projection of and the entire planning for the season will go awry. So that's the thing which coaches need to understand. One team will win, one team will lose on paper. Obviously, Mohun Bagan means overwhelming favorites, but there have been many a derby when a team has gone as overwhelming favorites and the other team has won, especially the Kolkata derby. I would rather feel that this psychological battle, Mohun Bagan coach will and should be taking it as a stepping stone for the AFC tournament, because that will enable him to test as to what the actual strength and what the actual cohesion of the team is. If he misses out on that opportunity, well, I would feel a bit surprised, because playing a Bangladesh Army and playing East Bengal, come what may, whatever East Bengal side is, handling that pressure which Mohun Bagan need to handle all throughout the season, I feel that he wouldn't be wanting to let it go.
Yeah. But Shayan, one key part in that game was, of course, Harmanjot Kabra's mistake. I don't know where that came from. It was pretty much done. If he whacked the ball clear, it was probably game over. But he chose to come inside and try pass into the middle of the box, which was I didn't quite understand it. What did you make of that situation? Harmanjot Kabra, supposed to be one of the leaders of that East Bengal side, when you see him make an error like that. And on top of that, I think, was this the game where Severio scored with his hand? Like, I think in the beginning of the game.
It happened in the start when the game started.
Yeah.
First,
Yeah,
but see,
just wanted your take
players
on
are
that.
bound to make mistakes. This happens in football. This is something
Yeah.
which happens, and we should understand that Harmanjot Singh Kabra, always a East Bengal legend. He has played for East Bengal club for a long time. Again, he have rejoined this club now. So he was very good in what my assessment. He was very good in the first half. What makes me think, I think problem East Bengal will have is that as the game will go on after 60 minutes, last season, if you see, 84% of our goals we considered was after 60 minutes total in ISL season. So that shows that we are not able to defend properly because we have aging players in our team. And this year again, we have again got few aging players. We have got in Harmanjot Singh Kabra, we have got in Mandar Rao Desai, who is not currently in best of his form where he was in last 2-3 years back, or even Nishu Kumar. If you see his last year's performance in Kerala Blasters, you will understand how was he. Harmanjot Singh Kabra played only 7 games last year ISL out of 20 games. That shows that we have gotten players who are highly aging, and that worries me. So Kabra played well. I think he played to his potential. I don't expect him to play it till 90 minutes. But as I said it before, we don't have that bench strength where we can rest somebody and get in a new fresh pair of legs. We have gotten few players from under 17 team, but they also need some time to gel. We have started the preseason late in compared to other teams. In fact, if you see the other teams like Mumbai City FC, Goa, they started before us. Our coach came even late. Our coach came just 14 days back, 13, 14 days prior to that game. So I'm hoping East Bengal plays well. And Khabra has made the mistake. It's part and parcel of life. It happens. I would not be in that zone going saying that he's not a good player. He's a good player, but you should have a realistic expectation of a player like Khabra. From a player like Khabra, you can't expect him to play like 90 minutes the same way he plays for first 45 minutes. He would tend to slow down. So you need to have backup plan for that. And secondly, I would say I request all the East Bengal supporters from your platform, Arun Foot and Sports Khabri, that please, we need to stay calm and need to support the coach and the team, as Nilanjan has said it correctly, that if this game goes, if we are getting drubbed very badly, this has a very bad effect on the team. So I would rather say the support team and the supporters to be patient and be behind this team. So as I and Arunavada always say that when we love somebody, we should love it unconditionally. If you love your club, you should love it unconditionally. There should not be conditions. If you love your club, please love it unconditionally. Expect things would happen. But I would say that Quadrat has his job cut out, because first day I was there and I got to say many things in the stadium which I don't want to say over here. But I am hopeful that East Bengal plays well. And who knows, as Ronaldo was yesterday saying, that game will always start from 0-0. So we never know what can happen that very day. So I'm hopeful about that.
Again, Arnava and Ranjan, before we come to like who your picks would be to win the game, just quick word on strikers scoring with their hands and celebrating is what do you guys make of it? And it's been in the game for so long. A lot of people have done it. So just wanted to know what you guys made of it.
It has happened. It will happen most probably as long as is no VR. Yeah. I guess I've got some Maradona fans over here. I think we can talk about the '86 World Cup. So all of that, other goals as well. And the question is how you want to be able to control the whole thing. And it has happened. Is happening again. Once VR isn't there, will it be solved? I don't know. It most probably will solve itself in the long term when VR really becomes a very, very normal thing in football.
But athletes are they're really good at this, Arnava. Like you just go with your hand and he's like, no, what? Like he's celebrating having his own.
There are two sides. Sometimes you've done something wrong. Sometimes you are unaware that it hit your hand, your arm, or whatever. Sometimes again, or you hit a player, or whatever. So it's the heat of the moment. And again, some others are, we'll call him smart or call him unfair. I remember derbies in which Baichung Bhutia with his best friends was abusing his best friends on the field, and afterwards was having a coffee or a tea or whatever. So it happens. It's football, and again, I think that's something that the fans need to understand, that in 90 minutes, go out, go have a go at each other, but after the game, be friends again. And that's, I think, the biggest challenge that I think the Kolkata Derby these days has, because it's become quite toxic on a number of fronts, which is very, very disturbing to see.
Nilanjan, would you pin that down to be something that's unfair, or are you saying, okay, you have to do whatever you can to win the game? And
well, hand of God in Indian football. Why complain? Point one. Perhaps being the biggest Diego Maradona fan myself in the entire world, Diego just was not just satisfied scoring with this hand. He even saved it. From the goal line save. I believe 1990 against Yugoslavia, he used his left hand when he stretched it to save it, to make a goal line save. So the saving of the goal can also come from defenders of our strikers. But Diego knew how to also score with his left foot. As long as strikers playing out here also score goals with their feet, no one will complain. You need a bit of drama. Come on, that's good. Why not? And again, I don't want to put pressure. referee, first linesman, the first assistant official, the second assistant official, and also the fourth referee. They are there coordinating between themselves, and if you cannot spot it, that's something. I do not want to just restart the debate again and again.
Yeah, and he's in good company, isn't he? Luis Suarez, Diego Maradona. So why complain? Shan, a prediction for you for this game?
See, my heart says something different because see, if you ask me that, I would say, if you ask me, I would say Mohun Bagan winning this game 2-0. I think that's a possibility, and let's hope that we can. I would be happy that if I'm proved wrong, but my mind has this feeling that we.
So your heart says 2-0 for Mohun Bagan. What does your mind say then?
No, I'm saying I didn't finish it. I said my mind is saying that it's 2-0, but I hope that my heart is correct and East Bengal wins 2-0. But I think it's highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. I don't think it will be possible, but let's hope. I think I would expect let's have a very good game of football that day, barring this prediction and all. Let's have a very good game of football. I think ticketing is an issue in Kolkata right now because tickets are only offline for the derby. I hope all the supporters get a chance to watch this game because people are really excited. It's on a Saturday, on a weekend. I expect it would be a full house if the tickets are properly distributed. I have some few doubts on that case, but I'm hoping that things get sorted. Let's see. We hope that we have a great game, and who knows, East Bengal can pull up a surprise that day. We never know. But if you ask me, Mohun Bagan is ahead at least by 2-0. If on paper, so they are ahead. No ways.
Adava, any surprises on that day potentially?
I said last night on Shine's channel that the game starts at 0-0 and it's a 50-50 chance when the referee blows the first whistle. And then you have to see what the teams do with it. And the big question in this derby is, who are they going to play? Both the coaches, Carlos Cuadrat and Juan Ferrando. And how are they approaching the game? Because if East Bengal has any chance of moving on, they need a win. Mohun Bagan can live with the draw. So from that approach, difficult for East Bengal because I think Mohun Bagan is a much better. And but again, football is a crazy gun, a crazy one. But again, anything but a clear Mohun Bagan win would actually be a surprise. If East Bengal can keep them down to, let's say, a 3-1 or even a 2-1 or even just a 1-0, that would already, I think if East Bengal is honest, that would be a success for them because Mohun Bagan at the moment is a much better side. But again, another factor is also that both teams are not fully match prepared. There's a lot of players who've not played any minutes so far. So therefore, there are these factors, that have you enter big players into the game or not. So therefore, that's the big challenge here.
Yeah. Nilanjan, we have a comment who's somebody saying it looks like it's going to be too easy for Mohun Bagan. Do you think it's going to be that easy?
Well, the legendary Babluda Subroto Bhattacharya once said in Bengali, "Darbite kono strategy hoy na, darbite kono prediction hoy na." Translating it into English is, you cannot strategize for the derby and you cannot predict the derby. I am from the old school. Guys and individuals of this modern era may find that comment a bit weird. How can you not strategize for a match? But the emotional aspects that are involved with the Kolkata derby, it's a sociological fight. In fact, it's a historical battle. Babluda was sent person, right? And there have been so many instances where Mohun Bagan have started as huge favorites, East Bengal turned the table, and vice versa. So prediction for a derby is difficult, but yeah, Bagan start as the favorites. You know what? The significance of this match day is that most of the players from both the teams have not played the Kolkata derby much. In such a situation, from the East Bengal standpoint, The leader in Harmanjot Singh Khabra will play an exceptionally significant role. Leaders like Mehtab Hussain, who used to charge up the entire team. Khabra belongs to that generation. He understands the importance of a derby, how the derby needs to be approached, keep the nerves at cool. That type of a leader, despite Khabra aging, is what East Bengal needed. And his role will be extremely, extremely significant if you ask me, because leading into the build-up to the derby, he will play a crucial role. That doesn't mean to say that East Bengal will be overturning the table completely or Mohun Bagan would be winning exceptionally convincingly. But Bagan start as favorites, but it's hard to predict a derby.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Shayan, I actually agree with Nilanjan because we hear the saying a lot. When it comes to a derby, it's always everything goes out of the window. Your form, your squad, and all of that, because the emotions take over, and a lot of things that probably connect the club to the people come in. And Shayan, do you think the East Bengal fans can push their side across the line in this one?
I hope they cross the line, but see, I agree with Dilajunda in some ways that he says that what Babluda said. It is, I agree in some ways, but problem right now what we have, when Babluda was the coach, and that time the team difference of the team were not so much. Currently, the difference in our team and East Bengal depth in its team is Mohun Bagan's depth is too much. So that doesn't work, and now we don't have the local players who understand the emotion that way. In that way, we don't have the Pritam now. Pritam is one of those who was part of the. So that emotion part has gone, and Nilanjanta, I think that is the most challenging part, because we have also seen many derbies. In fact, I remember one of the derbies in 1999 when Mohun Bagan won that derby, when Babluda was coach of Mohun Bagan. They had Igor, Barato, and Steven in that team, and they were in the top form, and East Bengal were underdog in that game. I remember Falguni Dotto 3-1. East Bengal won that game. So so it was possible that time, but now I see the difference is too much, because that time the team's balance was more or less the same. Undermining East Bengal was also equivalent. They can also put up a good fight. If you see Mumbai City FC and Mohun Bagan, that was the level that time. But East Bengal has fallen from that bracket. Mohun Bagan has remained in that bracket, but East Bengal has fallen from that bracket. We are no more the top front runner in this league. We are one of the minnows in this league. We have to understand it and we have to plan it. We can become a fourth runner in the next 2, 3, 4 years time, but that would not happen very soon. So I would think it will require some time for us. It's required from some introspection from our side. Then only we can come to that side, and then we can say about the Babluda's comment will take. Then I think Babluda's comment was on the basis of what he has seen and what he has as a coach, as a player. Right now, the recent evolution of Indian football has changed, and where East Bengal is no more the A-lister. We are more of in the lower rank teams like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That is our rank in last three editions of ISL when we started.
Yeah, Shine, just Swadeep wants to know who plays instead of Nishu, who's out for this game because of suspension.
See, what I have heard that Nishu is unavailable that game. So what I'm hearing that Mandarao Desai would be given a switch. What I've heard, I don't know what this may happen or not, but what I've heard, but nothing has been confirmed. If it required 24 hours before the game, we would come to know who would be the side. But till now, there is no confirmation who would play, because if you are in quadrant position, it's very difficult because you don't have that option. You have to get in players from the reserve side where he's planning. It's very, very difficult job for him. You may say many things, but as a coach, he has a very tough job ahead of him. And I hope that he's going to get in some players before the ISL starts.
Yeah. Arnava, before we move on from East Bengal, you've been saying that they don't have a spine. Do you think it has been addressed or not so far? Is it still an issue, and are they still continuing to struggle?
You've brought in a good goalkeeper, to say the first thing, in Prabhasugan Gill. I don't know if Jordan Elsey is the solution to your centre back issues as a foreigner. Who's your Desi centre back at the moment? Is it Gursimrat or is it Lalchun Nunga? So that is a question. Saul Crespo, quality. He's going to be a very big influence on the team. And if I look at other players, we'll have to see. I mean, Kabra played in midfield. Is Kabra more efficient as a
Sir,
right
sir.
back?
Oh, oh,
Yeah. So that's one.
Unauda, Rahul. Just one. I just
Yeah,
interrupt. I have to leave. Then thank you, Unauda. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Nilanjanda. I would join you very soon.
sign.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks, Shan,
Thank
for
you.
being there. Thank you.
you.
So therefore, that's it has been addressed to some extent. I think East Bengal's attacking unit is good, but that defensive part, yeah, is going to be a question that I think. And again, if you look at the potential that the Mohun Bagan attacking unit has, that is the big question of for East Bengal if they're going to be able to get into that game, defend, because you saw that the coach tried a few things towards the end against Bangladesh Army. It backfired to some extent. So the coach is also under pressure. So therefore, it'll be interesting to see who is going to really start, not only for East Bengal but also for Mohun Bagan as well in this derby. How much of a weight, how much of an importance do these coaches give it? I know what Ranjan was saying is to this, but again, it is a match and in a preseason, and therefore you need to handle it in that way. And I think if the fans understand that, it would be a very interesting test for both sides.
Fair enough. Guys, let's move on to our next important thing that we're here to talk about, which is ISL sides letting go of key players for the AFC Under 23 qualifiers. Now, we've heard yesterday that the camp has been postponed, but does it mean how easy is it going to be now to get these ISL players to the national camp? Nilanjan, do you think it'll be easy for the national team coach to convince these ISL clubs now that the camp is pushed, or does it make no difference at all?
Well, on the surface, looks a bit difficult because obviously there are both sides of coin to the story. You cannot be blaming the national coach, or neither can you be blaming the club coaches or the federation at all. You need to understand at all the sides. To all these sides, just because I need someone, I cannot run away with this, and just because he needs someone, I also cannot put my head down and say, "Oh no, I will not be giving it." There needs to be a balance which needs to be struck. We have only heard in reports, nothing official release as yet, a postponement of 9 days of the camp, which means around 18, minimum 15 to 16 training sessions the coach Clifford Miranda would be losing. But the big question to me is that some of the clubs will still be playing the Durand Cup by that time. So has there been any confirmation from those clubs that, oh, come what may, we are releasing our players on the 20th or 21st, whichever day it is? There's no clarity on that as yet because there's no official release. Obviously, I've read in reports. So that's the big point. It's postponed by till 20th. Now, we may reach a situation on the 20th where most of the players are playing in their clubs, and the clubs are saying that we still have the Durand Cup. What then? Do we have another postponement? Or then have the clubs already agreed that come what situation, we will be leaving the players or releasing the players to go for the camp? That hasn't been answered as yet.
Yeah, Arnava, like Nilanjan mentioned, despite the postponement, the Durand Cup is still on. August 20th, we still have a good
Yep.
10 to 15 days left in the Durand Cup. So how do you go about convincing ISL clubs?
See, there are three issues. The one issue is and this is something that the AFF needs to discuss with the national coaches. You raise the topic via a social media post. I don't know if that's the channel of communication of Mr. Steamach, but if I was in Igor's shoes, I would have tried to give the key people a call. I would try and get Des Buckingham. I tried to pick to Juan Fernando. I tried to speak to Sergio Lobera. I'd speak to Manolo Marquez and have a conversation with these guys and say, guys, what are you going to do? Again, we're talking, of course, the under 23 qualifiers, but we've got the Asian Games after that, where in the Asian Games, de facto, the Indian national team minus 2-3 players is going to be playing. And my understanding is from the clubs is that the clubs are not just upset; the clubs are quite angry, and some of them are very clearly adamant in saying that we will stick to what the FIFA regulations is, and in the FIFA regulations, Asian Games doesn't appear. So therefore, there is something that I feel that the FF has handled this not in a proper way. And again, these are things which you don't discuss in the media or don't discuss on social media, but this is sorted behind the scenes. And what we should not forget, and we've spoken about it, Rahul, is that there is the issue of that the national team will be playing, sort of the under 23s are playing, or the under 24s are playing the Asian Games at the same time as the AFC Champions League as well as the AFC Cup.
Yeah.
So my problem is where do we stand on this? And we need to find a solution for the under 23s. But once we found a solution for the under 23s, we need to find a solution also for the Asian Games. And there again, has anyone spoken to BFC about getting Gurpreet and Sunil released? I mean, think about it. They would be. I mean, Rahul, you're a BFC fan. You have Sunil and Gurpreet in China, with certain other players potentially as well. And BFC potentially play on the first 2-3 days of the ISL, which is supposed to start on the 22nd. So September, again, and the FF is trying to spin it as like great, so many internationals, this and everything, but we have a problem over there. And the question is, how can they solve that problem? And that is the real challenge here.
Yeah. Well, given some of his communication routes, Nilanjan, do you think Stimac is indeed trying to woo some of the Indian fans?
Well, that would be too big and harsh a statement for us to be making. He's pleading his case, but as I agree with Arunava, maybe in the I would say not in the right fashion, or not through the right channel. Social media is for everyone. This is an administrative issue, and if you ask me, this dialogue should have happened long back, बहुत पहले. It cannot be that the Durand Cup is on, the clubs have registered players, and all of a sudden you say, okay, I need to have a dialogue with the clubs. Why couldn't this dialogue happen before the registration of the players for the Durand Cup was being done? Point A. When were the dates announced for the ACL, the AFC Cup, the under 23 qualifiers? That's when the dialogue needed to be started, needed to be done. And I believe, I've been unpopular saying this, administration and technical people are entirely two different. They work together, but let the administration be left to the administrative people. Someone, a technical guy or a technical individual or a coach may have all the expertise of dealing with the team, but let the administration be handled by administrative people. That's been a huge problem in Indian football. And if ask me, my opinion would be, the AIFF should be speaking to the owners of the clubs, not the coaches and the coaches. Not to be mistaken. If people mistake me, I'm sorry. I do not mean anything else. A coach is just an employee, whoever it may be. I have huge regards for all the coaches out there, but you are just an employee. You're not an owner. The philosophy needs to be struck between the two organizations and the institutions, which are the clubs, the federation, in conjunction with the league, and that sponsors the broadcasters. As simple as that. Obviously, compulsory attendance for the coaches. They'll put in their technical opinions out there. But if the AIFF approaches a Mr. Sanjeev Goenka or a Mr. Parth Jindal or Mrs. Vita Dani, the impact will be a bit different than the two coaches speaking together. Because a club coach, we need to understand, we may hate the club coaches now. He's also having a job. His salary is being paid because he is expected to make his team win. And do you mean to say that a Des Buckingham or a Carlos or a Juan Ferrando, and Mr. Abbas also has joined the team, would be letting all their players go to sacrifice their AFC dreams? Are we kidding? I'm not saying that the national team shouldn't be getting it. So this dialogue needed to have long back, if you ask me. Now, if you say so, people will misunderstand. People will feel, oh, this guy's become negative. No, absolutely not. Because this situation will again come next season. Why does a club versus country happen? And if a club versus country happens every time over release of players, each and every time it's happening, there's a problem. Then we need to admit that, okay, we won't be getting the players and planning accordingly. You cannot be saying prior to each and every tournament, oh, if I had got extra days, I could have done better. That's absolutely none. Do you mean to say that Igor Stimac, the great defender that he was, he isn't aware of the situation that players can't be released, the right of refusal to release players stay with the clubs? Do you want me to believe it? He's played at the highest level, which no Indian coach who has come to play to coach in India for the national team at least has ever been. He has played a World Cup semi-final. Name a coach who has played a World Cup semi-final. He has played that. He's a junior world champion. He has played for Derby County. There's a lounge in his name out there. He's a great player. So you mean to say that Mr. Stimac is not aware? He's trying his level best. That's absolutely fine. But we need to understand what the reality is. And had this dialogue happened long back, maybe you could have been finding a different kind of solution. Where is my 2 cents? And I believe that's the simplest way to deal with it.
Yeah, Arnav, like Nilanjan mentioned, would it be wiser to talk to the representatives of a club versus the coaches? Because at the end of the day, a coach is there to do his job. Rightly, like Nilanjan mentioned, his job is to get the best out of the players he has. And for these decisions, would it be wiser to go and talk to, say, somebody who's a higher up in the club?
It's a difficult one because I think you need to look at it the different levels within a club, and you can coach at the coach's level. You can talk at the technical director's level. You can talk at the coach's level, and then try and find a solution which is in the best interest of Indian football, which means in the national team's interest, but also in the interest of the clubs. And the difficulty here in this situation is that under 23 competitions are not given importance by FIFA and by AFC. That is something. We have pushed the Asian Games up our agenda quite a bit, even though our focus should be the Asian Cup in January. That should be our focus. Asian Games would have been a bonus. Why are we looking to send a Sunil, a Gurpreet, and a Sandesh to that competition, right? Why are we not sending an under 23, maybe an under 21? Other teams and other nations are doing it, and will do it. So our priorities, that is what I feel is our priorities are not right, because if we had sent an under 21 team, all of these issues would not have been discussed, and all of these issues now are suddenly interlinked. The camp for the under 23s, Asian Games, and even the release of players for the Asian Cup. If Igor Stimac wants to always get the players when he wants them, then let's shut down the ISL. Right? And that is, we need to understand that there needs to be a coexistence of national teams and the clubs. And the interest of Indian football needs to be looked at. But sometimes we need to be smart enough in our decisions, which I don't see at the moment, to be very honest. And that is something, someone putting his foot down saying, guys, let's sit down, let's talk, let's get a video conference going. What's your opinion? Let's get the opinions in from the clubs. We're not getting that. There is a communication happening, which is one way, which is, again, letters are being sent, yes, or emails are being sent. But there is also communication going on social media where, and this point raised by Mindset, he has something out there, right, to think about it. And again, it's not gone down well earlier with this whole request to play the Asian Games with the government. I know that from people within the government. So is a national coach overstepping? Most probably certain people in higher up political positions think he is, and no one is reining him in. So that is the question that the high-ups of the federation need to answer.
Well, Nilanjan, one point that Arnav brought up, we've already spoken about it. The inclusion of Sunil Chhetri, Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, and Sandesh Jhingan in this team. Your job is already hard because now you have to convince the ISL clubs for these under 23 players or under 24 players. Now it's harder because now you go to BFC and you have to tell them that you have to release Sunil Chhetri and Gurpreet Singh Sandhu when the ISL season could be on during the Asian Games. How much harder is it now? And do you think we should have gone without these three players?
Well, that's a debatable topic, and that debate will be having no end. Whether we should have gone with, but maybe you could have given Sunil a bit more of a rest, because we need to protect him a bit. We have the Mardeka coming up in January, and then the World Cup qualifiers. Obviously, he needs a bit of a protection. Football is a body contact sport, touch wood, and he's the biggest match winner. So we need to protect him as much as possible. Maybe someone who didn't have the experience of going to what do you say, to an Asian Games could have been thought about, huh? But it's a coach's decision. I won't be speaking ever. I have not ever spoken about technical decisions about selection of players. I leave it to the coach, because maybe I'm not able to understand what the logic of his was. And I'll be backing every coach's decision to pick up the players and the squad. There are other issues which I disagree, but yeah, could have maybe given someone else a chance, because all three of them have been at the Asian Games. Sunil definitely, Sandesh in 2014, was Gurpreet part of the squad then? I trust yes, or Amrinder, I believe yes, he was. So there could have been experience given to some other guys who didn't have the experience of the Asian Games. But at the same time, the logic which I feel went behind the selection was selecting all three of them, as Aruna was said, and we all know, makes it look like the senior team. Other than the right back and the right winger and Sunil's partner up front, three positions, all are national senior team players who start for the national senior team. So this is our biggest chance in recent years. Intent has always been there. The competence maybe in the team was not much as these guys are prepared for the Asian Games. So the coach, for all the right reasons, and he has the right to take a call out there. And the draw has been very, very favorable for us. I believe a semi-final spot is very, very much possible. People may raise their eyebrows and say, no, how am I saying this? Because China in youth football are not a force to reckon with, despite them playing at home. China are very much at our level and have been struggling. In fact, we have done better at youth level than China in recent years. The Chinese under-22 team did go up to I believe, the quarterfinals in the AFC under-22 in Uzbekistan. But it's more or less at the same level as we are. And they are beatable. And if we are able to top the group, you get a kind of on the paper, a favorable opponent in the round of 16. And if you win this, obviously go into the quarters as you have topped the group. By virtue of that, you get a comparatively an easier opponent on paper in the quarterfinals, rather than directly facing a Japan or a Korea Republic or an Islamic Republic of Iran. There are chances, and it all depends on that day. I seriously believe they have a chance. This is our best chance to make it to the semi-finals, definitely.
Well, Arnava, if it is a great opportunity for us to go out and do really well in the Asian Games, should we take it?
It's a yes and a no. I think if the opportunity is there, we should, yes, surely, whoever's going, we should try. But honestly, to me, Asian Games football is not the biggest priority, because most of the nations will not be sending their best players. So that's a reality. We need to wake up from this Olympics, Asian Games reality. We need to focus on FIFA World Cups. We need to focus on AFC Asian Cups. Was all this tamasha needed? Is it, again, was it needed? You, in the end, most probably the government allowed you to go because you said, I will send my three biggest names. But is this helping Indian football? No, it's not. Sunil does not need exposure. Sunil is the most experienced player that we have. Gurpreet, Sandesh have enough experience. There are other boys who could have done it, especially in that striking position. It would have been great if I had said over 23 player, let me send in Nishan Pandita. Let me give that boy the chance. He needs that exposure. He's our number 2 at the moment. And that is what I feel worried is, what kind of decisions are being taken and why, what kind of narratives are being sold. because it's not working the way I feel it should, and that is my big concern at the moment. Is, are we going the right way with what we're doing?
Well, fair enough. Nilanjan and Arnav, both of you, one last question. Do you see this going well for Egos the match? Nilanjan, do you think at least a fair few, apart from the teams that are playing in Asian competitions, club competitions, I mean, do you think they will get the AFF will get permission for these players to participate in the under 23 qualifiers and the Asian Games?
Well, when the country plays, eventually the players will be spared and sent. But again, the right to refusal stays with the clubs. Whether they'll be there for the camp or not, it depends. It depends. You cannot be just plucking out an Anwar Ali and say, oh, boss, or Anwar, that I need you for the, what do you say, or Ashish Rai, I need you when there's an AFC Cup, I need you for the national duty, because the clubs pay the salaries of the players. It's as simple as that. And Arunabh raised a very exceptionally valid point. The national coach always complains about club coaches saying that you do not field any Indian strikers in the ISL. He always says that. That's a reality. That's a reality. Okay. Why? Because now you look at the other side of the coin. You ask the club coaches, why do you do so? The club coaches will say, hey, boss, I need to win the match, because I do not find competent Indian strikers who can make me win a match. Even Sunil Chhetri plays on the wings. The ball is like a tennis ball or a ping pong match going on, comes to the national coach's court. We had the Hero Intercontinental Cup, we had the Manipur Championship prior to that, the Hero Intercontinental Cup, the SAF Championship, and the Asian Games. Tell me, how many times have the national coach tried to place someone or find a solution to Sunil Chhetri? You are banking on him, your best striker. At the same time, you want us to believe, to force the club coaches, create a public opinion and say, oh, club coaches are not playing Indian strikers. Are you kidding me? I understand the Asian Games. Means a bit of maybe a kind of disagreement with Arunabh. Okay, the Asian Games, team is going. But there were situations where we could have rested Sunil Chhetri, but we didn't. It can't happen that, okay, he wants to play, I'm making him play. The coach has to say, no, boss, I need to have a plan B. Whom did he play, or whom did India field? Now, fair enough. You have felt Sunil's indispensable, which he definitely is. Then the stock of Indian strikers not coming up the ranks in the ISL and the domestic leagues, I believe it's totally an obsolete discussion, trying to create a public opinion out of nothing. You may be able to influence all. I cannot buy that logic at all. At all. You cannot be saying, okay, you do what I say and I'll do what I want. There needs to be the balance, and there needs to be the mutual understanding between.
Yeah, well, I don't know. There has to be balance. And where do we see this going?
See, I think I don't see Mumbai City, Odisha, and Mohun Bagan allowing their players to join the Asian Games. I think there will be some sort of solution regarding the under 23s. I think the first few teams will get eliminated in a few days. So therefore, if let's say East Bengal has to release Prabh Sukhan, they will release him now. The other things again, and for Mumbai City, for Odisha, and for Mohun Bagan, potentially it's a big issue. And so therefore, will they do it and say, listen, we'll release players 5 days before the tournament as FIFA rules, which doesn't apply to under 23s. I think that clubs might block players, and I think the whole Sunil, Sandesh, and Gurpreet discussion is still to be had. So therefore, I think the AFF still has quite a bit of homework to do and sort these things out. And therefore, despite having had a meeting yesterday, nothing happened.
Well, I mean, that is where we are right now. We don't know whether these players are going to go or not. We'll only have to wait and watch. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Nilanjan, Arnava, like always. Shine also. Thanks to Shine for joining for that bit where we spoke about East Bengal and Mohun Bagan. Catch us next week, guys. Like, share, and subscribe to Sports Kabri, to Arun Foot, and to Indian Food and Football. We'll see you guys next
And to
week.
Bol Dada Bol.
Yeah, guys.
Rahul has to practice that for next week, huh? So
I
yeah,
will have
so,
to. Yeah. Nilanjan, can you just drop me a WhatsApp message and I'll actually get on there. Yeah.
Pardon?
No, I was just joking and saying you should probably drop me a WhatsApp message and I'll practice it for next week.
Absolutely
Yeah.
not kidding. Go on.
But thank you so much, Nilanjan. Thanks, Arnava. See you guys next week.
thanks.
See you.
Good night.
Rahul, see you. God bless everyone. Good night.